Hey, what's up? I'm back yet once again. Colin Weaver here, IT Dojo, CISSP questions of the day. 2 questions every time I'm looking at you. Here comes the first one. Question number 1. Which of the following is true regarding firewalls? There's a whole bunch of words. Click pause, read those words, and then when you're ready, click play, and we will talk about which of those words are correct words. All right, first answer choice is they can protect data at the internet layer of the TCP/IP networking model. This is true. The internet layer is what most of us know as the network layer, but in the TCP/IP model, they call it the internet layer. Now, what's going on here really is you got to think about what can firewalls do versus what firewalls can't do. Firewalls don't operate at the physical layer or the data link layer, so anything below layer 3, they don't deal down there, so they can't protect information that's down there. We need other mechanisms to help us defend that. However, at layer 3, which is where IP addressing works, which in the TCP/IP model they call it the internet layer, and the OSI model they call it the network layer, and any of the layers that are above that, I don't care if you're talking about the TCP/IP model or the OSI model, firewalls can stick their grubby paws into that stuff through the form of deep packet inspection and things like that. So where they don't delve is into the layers below layer 3. They don't delve into the physical layer nor into the network interface or data link layer in the OSI model context. So the first answer choice that we're looking for is the right answer, but let's keep going and talk about why the rest of these are not the right. Answer number 2 here says that they optimize performance at the internal-external trust boundary. Gosh, that sounds fancy. They are the internal-external trust boundary, a firewall is. And no, they don't optimize anything. They actually slow stuff down. The act of having things pass through the firewall and the decisioning and thought that has to go into, is this packet cool or not? Can it come? Can it go? Those things take a toll. So no, they don't optimize anything. They secure things, and security typically comes with a cost, and that cost is, in this case, some measure of decreased performance. Now, it may be negligible, I get that, but in a busy enough network, it may be quite legitimate. So making sure that the firewall that you use is up to the task for the type of data and the quantity of data that's going to be passing through it is something that you got to also factor in. So not all firewalls are equal, to say the least. Third answer choice says the firewalls eliminate all network-based attacks from external networks. Oh man, if that were true. Well, it would kind of suck if it was true, because then none of us would have jobs, but we would all feel better about our networks because we would not be under attack. Absolutely not. Firewalls are not a cure-all. They're not some sort of panacea that's going to go in and fix everything. They can certainly stop a lot of different kinds of attacks by going in and blocking simple stuff, and through deep packet inspection we can get into even more stuff than that. But the truth of the matter is that firewalls are only one component in a defense in-depth strategy towards going in and achieving an acceptable level of security. Define that for yourself, of course. So no, firewalls do not do this. All right, next answer choice says that firewalls are optimized standalone devices, and that is decidedly untrue. Firewalls may very well be standalone devices, but it is perfectly common and normal, and in many cases standard, for firewalls to do other stuff. So just being a firewall, no. For instance, at your house, in the most simplistic of examples, you have your little router thing that is probably a wireless access point. It has a little 4 or 5 port switch on the back of it. It is a router, is an address translator. It might even be a DNS server and a DHCP server. And oh yeah, by the way, it's also a firewall. So these things can oftentimes be multifunctional in terms of what they do. They don't have to be dedicated standalone devices. All right, and the final answer choice here says that they can be configured as the default gateway for external nodes. Well, sounding pretty good until you got to that whole external node thing. They can be configured as a default gateway for internal nodes, but things on the outside don't typically use your firewall as the default gateway. But it is very common for the firewall, the device that you have your nodes send traffic to not only act as the firewall, but to also act as the point of exit from the network. So in this case, though, the answer is not right because we threw that external in there rather than internal. All right, let's keep it rolling. Let's do question number 2. My question to you is this. Given all these answer choices over here, which of them is not true of penetration testing? Click pause, give those a read. When you're ready, click play. We'll talk it all through. All right, first answer choice says you need to define clearly established limits and boundaries before the test begins. Big time true, okay? Know exactly what's cool and what's not cool to do before you begin to do a penetration test, because what you do as a pen tester can break stuff. And you need to know just how cool is it for you to potentially break stuff. So don't decide mid-test that, oops, that's a problem. You don't want to be in that position. Next answer choice says typically performed after a vulnerability assessment is performed, and that is true. Vulnerability assessment is going to go in and help you to identify the areas where you are vulnerable so that you can go in and correct those things, and then after you finish doing that stuff, then you can come in and consider doing a penetration test. All right, next answer choice says that you should only utilize passive tools combined with social engineering. That is decidedly not true. So that is one of our correct answers here. So just using passive tools, no, that would be weak. You're absolutely going to have to use active tools as part of your penetration test within the confines of what's been agreed upon by the person for whom you are performing this. Okay. Certainly social engineering is a great tool for you to go and make use of, but you're also going to need some super geeky stuff that can go active and do some things as well. All right, next answer says that you should define your success criteria based upon your test objectives. And that's just so official sounding, it's got to be true. So you know you want to go in and do that. So you're going to have your objectives of what the test is supposed to accomplish, to prove or to disprove, and then do your penetration test to go in and attempt to do that, to prove or disprove these things, and then that's a measure of your success. Were you able to accomplish this, or were you not able to accomplish that? So those can be measures of success in a penetration test. And the last answer choice says that rules of engagement are not defined in a black box test, and that could not be farther from the truth. Just because it's a black box penetration test where you are in essence given no knowledge about the network that you're going to have to perform the penetration on doesn't mean that there aren't rules for the engagement. So there are absolutely going to be limits to what you can do to the network that you're performing the pen test for. So just because it's a black box test doesn't mean that it's a no holds barred test. Sweet, 2 more questions done. Appreciate you being here. I'll see you tomorrow.